Well, hello there. This is Gina Musto from Westford Academy. I'm going to go ahead and do a couple of training videos to help you all to get familiar with the DLG software for your conference registration. I want you to know the software is very easy to use. It's like any software, though, you have to get used to it. And we used it for our district conference as well as our state conference last year, and it was really simple to use. I really like it a lot, and I hope you will too. So the first thing, I'm just using the District 5 Drake. It has students populated, so I'm going to go ahead and use those. And I promise, Charles, I will not mess up your registration. The first thing it's going to do when you log in, you're given this URL by district, and you're going to use the username and password that you've been provided with from National DECA. The first thing it's going to do is verify who you are as the lead advisor and make sure that you complete some fields to update for the registration. So the ones that have asterisks are required fields. The cell phone. I know I hate to preach over here, but it's so important. We all have them attached to the bottom of our arm at some point during the course of a day. When we're at a conference and we can't get in touch with people for a safety or a discrepancy or whatever the case is, there's nothing more frustrating for someone in a tab center. So please make sure that this information is accurate for the cell phone and the email accounts all the way through. You can change your password if you want to. I don't see why you would, because I would want to keep it consistent, but that's entirely up to you. And additionally, you can come in and say that you're going to pay with a PO or a check. I know some of you know exactly what's going to happen. You may have already been given a PO from your business office, so I'll leave that up to you to go ahead and populate those fields. Please notice that there is no asterisk, so it's not required at this time, but eventually, before you can submit the registration, you're going to need to fill in those fields. If you have any special needs for yourself, be it you have to leave early, you have a food allergy, whatever the case is, you can go ahead and do that, and that will appear on your registration form as well. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save, and then it's going to bring me in and automatically add me as the advisor as the very first member of this registration. There are a couple of fields I want to call your attention to in here. The first one is the ID field. This one is kind of like the replacement for the 20 dash, whatever your school number is, dash, whatever your student ID number is. You will use this number throughout the entire conference for data entry, so it's imperative that you're aware of what it is and that you include it on the judges' tally sheets as well as their name tags and so forth. It's vital to the success of using this software. On the status right here, for our district, we have three. You're a student, you're a chaperone, or you're an advisor. I know districts kind of march to the beat of their own drummer and do their own thing, so you may have set this up a little bit differently. Once you've populated students and you have events, it'll tell you how many events that they're in. And at any given time, if you want to edit or select an event or change something around, you're more than welcome to do that as long as the registration has not been submitted. At any point in time, you can click delete as well. And please understand this will not delete them from your national DECA registration. It's only going to delete them from this registration for this particular conference that we're talking about. Okay, so I'm going to add another non-student, otherwise known as a chaperone. I'll pretend that I'm going to jump ship and go help Drake it at this conference. I'll click chaperone from this drop-down menu. And notice that email and phone number now have asterisks on them. For advisor, it's not required because a lot of that information is already in there. But for chaperone, it is. So I'll go ahead and populate these fields. Oops, sorry. And it's just saving stuff. Any special needs? I'm sure there's jokes out there on my special needs. Ha ha ha. Click save. Now I have two members, Charles and myself. I'm going to go ahead and delete myself for a quick second to show you a system of checks and balances. When I go to view the registration, it's going to ask me for the PO or check number. You can pretend if you need to, just to get through it. And I get a red note. The software will have red notes all through when you're doing things that are wrong or when there's incomplete information. So because I deleted myself as a chaperone, it's not going to let me submit the registration. So that's a good check, I agree with having that on there. So I'll go ahead and add another non-student. I'll populate the fields one more time here. I'm going to change myself to a chaperone and click Save. And now when I go to view the registration, it should be a non-issue. The information is pulled directly from what you've registered for, as well as how you've predefined your registration. Once you have students and chaperones in here, it'll automatically do a tally. It'll tell you the chapter identification, any PO information. All of the data that you input will be included on this registration form. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go back home. And now what I'm going to do is add some students. When I click Add Student, based on what I've submitted and paid for in National DECA, I will have the student names in the first column, how many years they participated in DECA, the grade that they currently are in, as well as their participant type. Okay, so the first thing I want to call your attention to is this is a relatively manageable list. I know we have over 400 kids in our chapter, so this can get a little bit time consuming and annoying. What you can do here is click select all, and what it will do is automatically change the participant type status from select to a student registration. Obviously, if you only want to do a few at any given time, you can undo that. It is an all or none tally. Okay, so now for years in DECA, 1 is their first year. The grade should be pulled directly from what National DECA is. So you want to confirm more than anything else that it's spelled correctly, that this value is correct, as well as their grade. So on here, I'm going to go ahead and make changes. On the original registration, it's what was in there from last year. And remember, we used the software last year, so that's why these fields are already filled in. Most of you freshmen or first year members, there are going to be blanks. It will not let you save the list unless you populate these fields correctly. Also remember the principal events, PHT, PMK, PBM, and those, you need to make sure that they are truly a first year DECA member in order for your students to participate in those particular events. So I'm going to go ahead and deselect some of these other ones because I really don't want to mess Charles up here. And I'm going to click Save. So now the students that I had in that previous menu that I've assigned and confirmed are here. And at this point, you'll notice they have identification numbers already preset in there, and their status is set to student or S for student. None of them have events yet, so there are all zeros in those fields, and now I can get to putting them into events. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to Edit and select Events, and for this particular student, if you want to include emails, phone numbers, or any special needs, go ahead and do that. Down in the bottom, there are all of the events that you've told Harry that you will be using and running in your conference. So over on here, that's how you populate or tell the software which event that they're going to be in. So I'm going to start with a quick serve and click that and go ahead and click Save. So now it's going to change the event to one event, and that particular student is going to be in quick serve. Now for the next two users here, I'm going to show you how to do a team event. So let's pretend for a second that Isabella and Gabrielle are actually going to be a sports and marketing team. I'm going to go ahead and click Edit and select Events. I'm going to confirm this information in here. I'm going to drag down to Team Decision Making Events. I'm going to click the checkbox like I did for the singleton event. And then in here, this is where you tell the software what team they are on. So the first team is number 1, the second team is number 2, and so on. I'll click Save to that. And then I come into the second person here, Gabrielle. Click here. I'm going to drag down again to Sports and Entertainment Marketing. Team Decision Making Event. It's a 1. I click Save. So now I have a singleton event for the first student and a team event for these two girls here. Now, to show you how to do the second team, it's pretty simple. I'll pretend that Austin and Cassidy are going to be the second team for sport management decision making. So I'm going to edit and select the events. I'm going to drag down to the category, and I'm just going to change him to number 2. For the next person on the list, I'll edit and select the event, drag down to the category, and also I'll go ahead and change him to number 2. Pretty simple. Now I'm going to view the registration at this point, but before I do that, please notice that because I've added students in here, that this number has changed, and it will continue to change as long as you continue to add students into events. I'm going to view the registration, and currently I have the advisor, the chaperone tally. 11 students are currently registered. Even though I haven't given them all an event assignment, they are registered in the conference at this point. 1 is in quick serve, and then there are 2 separate sports and entertainment management to team decision-making events. Down here, you'll see that the remaining students that I said I'm going to give events to have not been assigned yet. And then the other thing that I really like about it for a system of checks and balances, at any point in time, I can view by event, and it's going to show me straight up. In quick serve is Adam Berger. In STDM, I have 2 teams. Here are the people, and I can toggle back and forth between what the invoice looks like as well as the registration. Okay, so next order of business, if I wanted to add a student that I didn't change the status of, notice I deleted a few of them. I'm going to click Add Student, and it will give me a status I've already selected, as well as the additional students on my list that I haven't selected. So if Samuel is a first-year student and he's a freshman, and I go ahead and I change him to student registration, I'll go ahead and click Save, and now he will be the last person on the list. I can edit and select his events, whatever they may be, and click Save and call it a day. Now the beauty of this, well, there's a bunch of beautiful things about this, but it already knows which test to assign to him, so you don't need to worry about that. It's all in the software, as well as you can save and finish later and do this in baby steps and so forth. You don't have to do it all in one sitting, which I like, because like I said, we have a huge chapter and it takes some time. So that's essentially what you're going to do for the first part of the registration. I feel like 12, almost 13 minutes is long enough. I will go ahead and show you how to submit the registration in a separate video. Thank you so much.